I got a box of parts. I got a box of parts. All right, it's not a jar of dirt, but hey, it is a box of parts. And today we're actually going to work on our 1976 Aqua Sport bass boat. All right, if you checked out the previous episode of this boat, you realize that we had a carburetor problem. Now this is a two-stroke engine. It's a 115 Mercury that is back from 1986, not the original engine for the boat, but that's okay. 115 is plenty for this little 17-footer. But I got a box of parts. So what we're going to do today is actually going to go over and remove all three carbs. We're going to tear them all the way down. We're going to soak them in carb cleaner and get them nice and squeaky clean. And then we're going to put them all back together. I believe my issue is that the needle and seats are basically destroyed. What destroys them? Well, ethanol fuel. I hate to say it, but hey, that's what it is. It chews away a lot of the brass and a lot of the other metals and lubricants and stuff that they use. And it wears them out. We just got to replace it. That's what we got to do. Can't really change it. You can go to non-ethanol fuels, which I'm going to start trying to find those. But hey, I just picked this thing up, and I really want to get it on the lake, hopefully real soon. So we're going to dig into the parts. We're going to take the carbs off, and then we're going to take you on the journey. So I got a box of parts. And also got air conditioners because it's still hot outside. All right, here's inside of our 115 Mercury. Now it is a 6-cylinder. Oh yeah, you gotta check out this spark plug. Super weird. Anyway, here's our culprit. We got 1, we got 2, and we got 3. These are carburetors, and they need to come out. Now, if you didn't catch the first video, what is going on is that we're getting fuel just pouring out of these, the inlet, the air inlet of the carburetors. Now I kind of figured it was the needle in the seat, and I did a bunch of other videos, and there's a bunch of them out there on YouTube. All my brothers and sisters out there doing some fantastic videos and fantastic work. So they all confirmed the same thing, that hey, it could be your needle in the seat. So that's what we're going to rebuild right now. So first order of business, disconnect your battery. I actually got mine on charge, but I disconnected it because you do not want a spark on this guy. In case you do have a spark, make sure your fire extinguisher is in the right location, which is way over there on the other side of the room. I usually have one right there, but apparently I took it off somewhere. I'm not sure where. Anyway, so what we're going to do is actually going to take this front cover off. We're going to take the starter off just so we can actually get to everything nice and easily and be able to pull it off. Now everything is tie wrapped all in there, so we're just going to cut the tie wraps, take the bolts out, take all the other stuff off so we can actually get to it. Now I would strongly suggest getting your cell phone like this one and taking pictures, or in my case, watch the video. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and pull all this stuff off and get it on the bench so we can actually get to business. All right, we got all 3 of those carburetors out, and they are sitting on the bench. But I did have to take a few extra things off that I didn't exactly plan on, but we had to do it. So take a look at this just in case you got the same problem. All right, so I went ahead and took this little guy off, which was just sitting right there, just to be able to lean this whole plate over a little bit so I can get a little bit more room. Now, down here at the bottom, right about there, there was this little tray. Now, it's kind of funny because it looks like it is supposed to leak fuel. I don't know. Maybe it does it every now and again. But anyway, there's a small little hose right here that actually comes out to the bottom, and it's a drain. Weird. I don't know. This is my first outboard, so we're going to do what we got to do. So anyway, we need to get all this gasket material off of all 3 surfaces. So it has to be squeaky clean by the time you get the other ones on. Now, what do we got here? Well, we got 1 carburetor. Yeah. We got 2 carburetors. This right here was the biggest offender. And then we have 3 carburetors. Now let's see what was in the box. not parts that I needed. These are idler pulleys for another project. So I gotta go run upstairs and find out where are my parts. How am I supposed to rebuild these if I don't have the new parts? Ah. All right, I might have a different shirt on because it might be a different day because I gotta wait for parts again. Let me go find out where these things are. Good night. All right, that's been a minute. Trying to get parts for this thing has been a little bit time consuming, but I went ahead and found some more floats. Now that does not come with the kit. I thought it did, it didn't. Make sure you get both of them because this, I believe, is my main problem. It still has fuel in it. Hasn't leaked out, so it might be on the top. I don't know. But anyway, got new floats. Went ahead and got all three, so we can actually put those in there. So let's proceed in tearing this thing down so you can do it yourself. Boop. All right, so we got our basic carburetor here. So I've already taken the float. I've already taken this guy off. Still has the needle and seat on there. And actually, if you look at it, that is not how it's supposed to be. All right, so this guy right here should be roughly level. So something in that needle is not kosher. So we're gonna look into that here in a minute, once I dig into this a little bit more. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take off the rest of the stuff. Now, there are some people that actually take off a lot more than I'm getting ready to. But looking at the rebuild kit, I don't have a lot of the stuff that they were taking off. All right, so we got a little gasket right here. Try to get that guy off. Maybe use a pick. All right, that's most of it. Now the rest of it, I kind of like to use this little wire brush. Hit that, boom, done. You just gotta make sure you clean it out really well before you actually put everything in there. Now, deep down inside there is a jet. Now, I took my screwdriver here and ground it down on the grinder just so I can fit it in there because I don't have any special tools for that. So you got to be very careful. There we go. It is brass. It is a soft metal. And if you strip it off, well, you're kind of in trouble. All right. So there's your little tiny jet. So we're going to take all that off so we can actually get it clean. Now we're going to keep going. We're going to take this needle out right here. Another flathead. All right. Now for this guy here, you would count how many twists you have in there, or put it all the way down in and back it off like 2 turns. It's kind of like a general place of where you can start tuning. And basically when you we'll tune it a little bit later. So you get it running and then you turn it until it starts to stumble and then back off a little bit. And you do that to all 3 carbs and then you are ready to go. So this guy right here, this is a little bit, this is a little plug. And if you look deep down in here, once I open up these butterflies, don't know if you can actually see that there's little tiny holes. Now this right here you can pull out and clean those out. I do not have a replacement for that, so I'm not going to take it out. What I'm going to do is actually shoot a bunch of air everywhere and hopefully it will clean it out with some brake clean, carb clean, all that good clean. Clang, clang, clang. Anyway, let's keep going. Tearing it down. And you can see down in there, little tiny orifice. There's little tiny orifices everywhere. You got to get all that clean. That's why we're doing this. Get off your bug. All right, almost done tearing it down. So that is pretty much as far as we're going to go with the actual body itself. The next step would be to get rid of all the gasket material, hit it with some clean, and then spray it off with some compressed air. Some people actually soak it overnight. I don't have that kind of time. So let's take a look at the needle and seat. Oh, pliers. There's my pliers. All right. So this stuff, well, that's not cool. All right, I didn't even get up there to it, and this is already coming apart. So this is a little pin, and then you have another one right here. All right, another pin. Take them both off. Now this right here is your needle. As you can see, it comes down to a point. Now this one right here is actually a rubberized point. And those actually feel okay. I think my biggest issue was that float. So anyway, let's go ahead and get the seat out, which is this guy right here. Because we need to have that clean. It needs to be spotless. Because those holes are so tiny. A little piece of grain of sand, a little dirt, some dust, and you're having a bad day. All right. So we're going to put this aside because we got new ones of those. Now, one other thing that we need to change out is way down there in the bottom of that. All right, now we get to have the wonderful job of cleaning everything. All right, so I buy this stuff by the case. It's brake clean, does all right. If you want to get some true carburetor cleaner, you can use that as well. I'm gonna start with the carburetor cleaner until I run out. And if you have any cuts and sores on your hand, this is gonna hurt a lot. All right, so another thing that a lot of people actually do is actually take all of these parts and it gets like looks like a paint can, and it's carburetor cleaner stuff that you can soak overnight. I don't have that kind of time, and this stuff actually looks relatively clean, but I still want to get it clean. And like I said, I still think the problem was that float. So let's got my compressed air, and I'll be able to shoot this stuff here. So one thing about your compressed air, don't have too much pressure on it because, well, some of this stuff might be fragile. It might not. So if you have it cranked up to like 120 psi, maybe a little too much. Yeah, don't have to go that far. Maybe go 50 or so. You should be fine. So let's clean this out and get it. Oh, big thing that you have to do. Don't forget your safety. You get a carb cleaner or brake cleaner in your eyeballs, you're gonna have a bad afternoon. Probably longer than that. All right, clean up all your little small parts, your big parts. Make sure you get these little tiny orifices. Make sure they are clean. Sight through them, through it with some brake clean, hit it with some air. Make sure that they are clean so you will not have to come back and do this again. Now, your rebuild kit. Now this is for, replaces Mercury for the WMK carburetors. There's a lot of them, and they're going to give you parts that you're not going to use. So keep them separate. So most importantly, needle and seat. And it also comes with that little tiny gasket. It's like a copper ring that goes underneath the seat. Don't forget that. It is a little bit of a bugger to get out, but it finally came out. All right, time to put everything back together. Everything has been cleaned, best I can do, without actually soaking it. But if you really want to do it right, go ahead and soak it. I'm not gonna do it. So anyway, let's start with the little needle and seat hat. Get your little tiny gasket in here, which is gonna be fun to get in there. And it's always a good practice to take your old one and your new one and make sure that they are identical. Because you're going to try to fight this thing, get it in there, and then you're like, why isn't it not fitting? And then you find out, oh, well, they gave me the wrong one. Which has happened too many darn times. All right, a little torque. All right, there's your new needle. Goes right into the hole. Now, the fun part starts. You have your little pins. You should have two. So we're going to take our first one right here. Now this one right here, so that is going to sit like this. Now, anyway, I'm going to stick my pin in. Maybe. There we go. All right. So make sure it's in there nice and snug. I'm going to take my pliers and we're going to push that in. There you go. Say it's if you look on the very edge of the pin, there's a little bit of grooves in there. That will make it to where it does not come out. Now, here's your second piece. Now, this piece right here will go right on top of the piece you just put in. Now, here's a little tip. Now, these little pins can go this way or can go that way. I would recommend going in the same direction. So if this one right here goes out this way, you know this one's going to go this way. Because you don't have to figure out which way it actually goes. There we go. All right. So you take your pliers, pull it right in. All right. Now here's a big thing right here. You can look at it sideways. Here. Let's try it this way. All right. You look at it sideways. This right here should be relatively even, kind of flat. So I'm just gonna bend it down just a hair. Here, a little bit better. All right. So just bend it down so where it is pretty flat, and then you can check it with some compressed air. I'm gonna stick compressed air into the where the fuel's gonna come in, and then I should be able to see the needle go up and down as I put air in it. Don't put a lot in there or else it'll shoot across the floor. All right, I can hear air closing it. There you go. All right, needle in the seat is working. So hopefully I can put it all back together and it'll actually work this time. All right, so we need our float. This is our float. Now, this little spring needs to be straight up and down. And it's also only like, man, what was it, like 2 millimeters tall? Because that is what's gonna float up and hit your little flap to actually close the needle. There you go. Plop it right back down. All right. Now don't forget your gasket. Actually, I'm gonna use this gasket. I think it works. Yep, it works. Bam! All right, put your screws in. Put it all back together. All right, now back to your regularly scheduled programming after my oops. But hey, we go back and fix it. I'm gonna let you know I did make a mistake because hey, we're not perfect. So I made a mistake, but I fixed it. Go fix yours. All right, let's put it all back together. All right, you don't have to rip down a lot of these screws. You just need it snug. And once you get it snug, just give it a little bit more and then you should be in great shape. Now, remember those holes I was telling you about right in there? Now, I blew air all through there and everything seemed to be fine. And what that actually does is it creates more of a vacuum as you're actually opening up the throttles. And this little hose here goes from here to here, is that it's going to lean out the engine a little bit at wide open throttle so you're not burning through a bunch of fuel. Some people don't like that. I'm like, well, it was designed that way for a reason, I guess. So you can put your hose back up there. I've seen so many people just put some heat shrink on that, close it up, bypass it, whatever, and they've been running great. But right now we're going to put it up here, and if we start running like crap, we're taking that crap off. So anyway, we're going to take our cleanish screws and start putting everything back in. Oh, forgot one thing. Don't forget your jet. Where's the jet go? There we go. Take a special screwdriver that I modified. Screw it all the way in. Make sure she's still clean. And then stick your screw back in. Oh wait, nope. All right, so this guy right here, find your gasket. Somewhere. There's my gasket. Put that on. Now when you cinch this down, you do not rip it down. If you do, you're going to rip that gasket. So just get it down to snug so it does not leak. There's going to be a lot of fuel going through this bottom section and you do not want it to leak. All right. Let's get the rest of our screws in. All right, so this right here is the pin that I was telling you about earlier that we can adjust. And this will help with idle and that type of stuff. So we're gonna go all the way down. 1, 2. All right, so this should be a decent baseline of what you can actually do. Now, another thing you can do is actually count how many threads it took to actually get this thing out and before you actually took it off, and that should at least get you in the ballpark. So everything on this guy is pretty much done. I have gone through all of my, it has a lot of parts that we don't need any except for this guy. This goes on the engine. But now we have our carb that I already did, and then you have our new carb. So I'm going to go and put this thing together. Now, one thing I am going to do with this is actually go through and replace the tie wrap little connectors here. All right, one thing you can pick up is a whole kit. You can get them at Harbor Freight or whatever. And these are fuel line compressions. So what we're gonna do is shrink it down. See how big that gets? And we're gonna take our carburetor that we've already dealt with and stick it right on top. All right. So to line these up, making sure they're going in the right direction, you're gonna hook up your cable linkage. It should spline right in. And then you should be able to put your hose on. There you go. So now I have 2 down. I got a 3rd one to go. All right, once I actually get this 3rd one up, we're gonna put everything on and then we're gonna put it on the engine after I clean it up. Still haven't done that yet. Once I clean that up and put all these guys on, I'm gonna take it out to the driveway, hook up my bunny ears and crank it up and hopefully not get any leaks anymore. So hang tight. I gotta go pick up Ray from horses. I'm gonna get the other one done. I'm gonna put it in and then we're gonna run it. And then hopefully I can show you how we fish around here. Boom. All right. Yeah. No brano. No brano. All right. We'll see what that 3rd one looks like and get back to you. All right. We're into a good testing point to make sure that I got those needle and seats in correctly this time rather than last time. So you have your little priming ball right here. So I've already primed it. Can't squeeze it anymore. And I'll look at all 3 carbs. I'm not leaking. Look again. Sweet. Not leaking. We button up the rest. See if we can start it up. Maybe tomorrow. Because it is dark outside. And we got a hurricane coming this weekend. So yay. Holy crap, was this thing a project. Man, thought I was just going to have to do with some carburetor rebuilds. But hey, I already filmed that stuff. I had some other stuff that I had to do. All the electrical stuff. Wasn't very reliable. It went up and went down. Couldn't get spark. Yeah, we got spark. I think. I don't know. It at least lit up the little light thing, but I couldn't get it out of the shop to get it out of here to hook the water hose to it to actually run it properly. So, let's go ahead and see if it starts. Let's find out. It runs. I'm gonna come over here because that thing's kind of loud. I'm gonna let it run for a few minutes, but I just want to let you know that we are ready to go. Look at it. Like a fishing rod's out. Yeah, it was a little premature. I knew it was gonna happen. So anyway, I'm gonna shut this thing off real quick and I'm gonna show you exactly what we had to do to actually get this thing fixed. Well, at least it's fixed in the driveway. We'll see you this weekend when I take it to the lake. All right, so let's take a look at the progress of what we made here. All right, so we had 3 carburetors completely rebuilt. You probably just saw that because I probably edited this part in there with it. But anyway, what else did we do? Well, there was some electrical problems. Inside here, this is your flywheel. So underneath here, you have your stator and you also have your trigger. Now I went ahead, I redid the carburetors and I was trying to film it to where it actually started and it would not start. I put a little tester on the spark plugs and we didn't get a light. So we were not getting spark. So there was a lot of really good videos out there that helped me out a lot. I'll try to do one for myself, but hey, I don't know if I can do it justice as much as those guys that are doing, and gals. There's one gal there too. Anyway, so what you do is you take out your blue and red wires, come down here, and then there they are right here. These are your power blocks. And what it is that you're supposed to get ohmic value between the 2 reds, which is about maybe 180, maybe 250, somewhere around there, acceptable-ish. Now, on the blue and the blue, on the original one, because I did get a new stator, it went from like 3,000 ohms to nothing. And then it kind of went up and down, and it wasn't very consistent. So I knew the stator was bad. Ditched that, got a new one. While I was in there, you gotta take the flywheel off, you gotta take all the other stuff off. So I went ahead and changed the trigger and the stator. And while I was there, I went ahead and picked up a new rectifier, which will be charging your batteries. And these guys here, it was a lot cheaper than I thought. These are some cheap knockoffs, unfortunately, and I think they were like 54 bucks for both of them. So I was like, screw it, if I'm already doing it, replace everything. And this is the reason why I replaced those. One second. All right, I went ahead and grabbed everything. All right, so this was the stator that I pulled off. If you look right here, it looks like it was rubbing or got bubbled or anything like that. That's probably where my source of the problem is. Not only that, I'm looking at the wires. This is probably original from 1986. It's got a lot of age on it. These wires don't last forever, so went ahead and replaced it. While I was in there, I went ahead and replaced the trigger. So this is the trigger, and all it does is actually trigger things. Okay, it's called a trigger. Anyway, this sits underneath the flywheel, and if you look at some of these wires, they are getting pretty flimsy and old, and that needed to be replaced. Now, the main reason why I changed out these power blocks, now they probably are still good, I don't know, but if you look at all those little lugs on there, it's a lot of corrosion, it's a lot of rust, and I was going to try to wire brush it and stuff like that, but when I saw it was only $54, hey, I just grabbed some new ones. Now I'm going to keep these around, and I'm going to go ahead and spend the time and actually clean all these terminals so I can use it again later if these things ever crap out. And they're cheap Chinese knockoffs, they're probably going to crap out. But anyway, how did I actually test it? Well, simple ohm meter. And also there's another attachment you can put on here to check your high voltage. I'm not going to go over that right now because the video is already getting pretty long, but I'll do that on another video to help you fix your tower of power. I've been learning a lot about this thing. Well, she runs. That means I get to go fishing. Anyway, also has some good news. The Forestry Service, well, the Wildlife Commission, got off their hind end and sent me my title and my registration. So I'm actually going to be legal when I get out there. Got my fishing license, I got my registration, I got my title for the trailer, I got registration for the trailer, I got my sticker, and I got fishing rods. The only thing I'm missing now is some way to charge all these batteries. I'll use my regular charger, but I got something coming that you might want to see. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to hardwire it in, so all you do is plug in one, bam, all three are going to be fully charged every time I want to take this thing out. Anyway, check out all the other stuff. I'm really excited about this project. It is going to be epic, at least in my mind it's going to be. I'm going to take it out to the lake, I'm going to take it to the river, I'm going to take it everywhere as soon as I pack my bearings. Haven't done that yet. But take it easy, have fun, check out all the other stuff. We're going to be back with this project. I got some Wagoneer stuff, I got some Toyota stuff, I got some Jeep stuff, I got stuff. Check it out. Later.